Admiral Kren stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominion's edge, watching the blue marble of Earth grow larger in the viewport. The third planet from this unremarkable yellow star had defied the Galactic Empire for far too long. Today, that defiance would end. "Status report," Kren commanded, his forearms crossed behind his back in the traditional pose of Imperial authority. "Sir, all 1,200 vessels are in formation. The human fleet appears to be minimal," reported Navigation Officer Vex, his voice carrying a note of confusion. "We're detecting only 47 ships in defensive positions around there. Homeworld." Kren's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his species. 47 ships against 1,200. These humans truly have lost their minds. The Galactic Empire had crushed 1,000 worlds with fleets a fraction of this size. Earth's defiance had required them to assemble the largest armada in Imperial history, not because the humans were particularly dangerous, but because their stubborn resistance had become an embarrassment. 3 colonies had already fallen to human raids, and the Empire's reputation demanded overwhelming force. "Open a channel to the human fleet," Kren ordered. The main screen flickered, revealing a weathered human face. The man wore a simple blue uniform with minimal decoration, his gray hair cropped short and his eyes holding an unsettling calm. "This is Captain Morgan of the Terran Defense Force," the human said without preamble. "You're trespassing in human space." "I am Admiral Kren of the Galactic Empire," came the reply. "You will surrender immediately, or we will reduce your world to ash. You have 1 minute to comply." Captain Morgan's expression didn't change. "Counteroffer. You have 30 seconds to turn your fleet around and leave our system. This is your only warning." The audacity struck Kren speechless for a moment. Behind him, several officers made sounds of disbelief. "You dare threaten us? We have brought 1,200 warships to your pathetic world." 30 seconds, Morgan repeated calmly. "Starting now." The channel closed. Kren turned to his weapons. "Officer, prepare the bombardment formation. We'll start with their orbital stations and work our way down to the surface." As the Imperial fleet began to spread into attack formation, the human ships moved as well. But instead of fleeing or taking defensive positions, they did something unexpected. They withdrew. "Sir," Vex reported, "the human vessels are pulling back to the far side of their moon." "Cowards," Kren spat. "They abandoned their homeworld at the first sign of real opposition." That was when the sensors began screaming. "Admiral!" shouted the sensor technician, his voice cracking with panic. "I'm reading massive energy signatures from the planet's surface." "Something is powering up. Explain," Kren demanded. "Sir, I'm detecting energy levels equivalent to a star's core. The readings are coming from what appears to be a mountain range on the northern continent. Through the viewport, Earth's surface began to glow. Not the warm glow of cities or even the angry red of weapons fire, but something else entirely. A pale blue radiance that seemed to pulse with barely contained power." "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's not coming from any ship or station. The signal is originating from coordinates on the ground. Put it through." The voice that emerged from the speakers was different from Captain Morgan's. This one carried the weight of authority, but also something else. Something that made Kren's blood run cold. "Imperial Fleet, this is Director Hayes of the Terran Research Division. You were warned to leave. You chose to ignore that warning. What you're about to witness was built 40 years ago and buried under a mountain because we were afraid of what we had created. Today, you've given us a reason to dig it up." The blue glow on Earth's surface intensified. "Sir," the sensor technician's voice was barely a whisper, "the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever that thing is, it's drawing power from the planet's core itself. All ships, emergency evasive maneuvers." Kren commanded, but it was already too late. The mountain exploded outward, not with fire and debris, but with pure energy. What emerged defied comprehension. It wasn't a ship in any sense that the Empire understood. It was a construct of curved metal and flowing energy, roughly spherical but constantly shifting, as if reality itself bent around it. "My God," whispered someone on the bridge. "What is that thing?" Director Hayes' voice answered as if he had heard the question. "Project Lazarus. Humanity's first attempt at harnessing quantum foam as a weapon. We tested it once, on a small scale. It turned a moon into elementary particles. We decided it was too dangerous to ever use again." The construct rose from Earth's surface with impossible grace, leaving a trail of distorted space in its wake. As it moved toward the Imperial fleet, stars seemed to bend around it, their light stretching and warping. "All ships fire at will." Kren screamed. 1,200 warships opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams, particle weapons, and kinetic projectiles converged on the human construct. The weapons struck something that wasn't quite a shield and wasn't quite armor. The attack simply ceased to exist, their energy absorbed into the quantum field surrounding the device. "Weapons have no effect," reported the weapons officer. "It's not deflecting our fire, sir, it's unmaking it." The construct reached the edge of the Imperial formation. What happened next would be debated by xenobiologists for generations. Assuming any survived to debate it, the device pulsed once, a ripple of distorted spacetime expanding outward. The first ships it touched didn't explode or burn. They simply stopped existing. Their matter converted back to the quantum foam from which all things emerged. Admiral Kren watched in horror as a third of his fleet vanished in an instant. The remaining ships tried to flee, but the construct pulsed. Again and again. In less than 5 minutes, the largest armada in galactic history had been reduced to scattered debris and fleeing survivors. Of 1,200 ships, fewer than 50 escaped Earth's gravity well. Captain Morgan's voice came through the communication system one final time. "Director Hayes, you can power down the prototype. I think they got the message." As the construct descended back toward Earth's surface, its quantum field flickering and fading, Morgan's final transmission reached the surviving Imperial ships. "Tell your Empire that Earth is under human protection. Tell them what happened here. And tell them that what you witnessed today was just a prototype. We've had 40 years to improve the design." The remaining Imperial ships fled toward the edge of the system, carrying news that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of human capabilities. The Galactic Empire, which had never known defeat, had lost its greatest fleet to a single weapon that humanity had built and buried because they considered it too dangerous to use. In the years that followed, no Imperial ship would venture within 100 light years of the Sol system. The humans, it turned out, were far more terrifying in their restraint than they had ever been in their defiance. Earth's forgotten prototype had fallen in Empire's fleet, and with it, the Empire's belief in its own invincibility.